that. Thank you so much for speaking to me. This show, as you already know, is amazing. Your character is interesting. Um,
Very interesting.
very interesting. But you know what I love about this show and your portrayal of Judas is the fact that he's not one dimensional. There are many different emotions and feelings that I'm getting from him, which makes the decision of what we know what ends up happening at the end, even that more heartbreaking for us as a viewer. So what I want to know is tapping into that humanity of someone who is considered the absolute, like the first villain. How do you break down that process of justifying what he does and understanding it?
Well, we have a fantastic writing staff on our team. The show is written by you might already know them, but Ryan Swanson, Tyler Thompson, and of course the our showrunner and creator Dallas Jenkins. So they've given me a lot to work with. That has made it incredibly easy. But also, it's not as difficult as one would assume. Mostly because the way the character is kind of written is in hindsight. Most of the articles we have of him are through biblical text and are very much written in the hindsight that he has already betrayed the group who has written them. Like all the gospels and all the uh, artifacts that have been transcribed of that time are always written were written after the fact, and so it it wasn't hard to look at him as a person to realize like, oh, maybe past the single painted character archetype that we naturally see him, there's a human there, and he wasn't a serial killer, he wasn't a monster or a murderer. He was a guy who made a singular mistake and then felt so bad about it that he committed suicide, which in any scape is a form of action that begs the question why and leaves a lot more curiosity to the pact. It wasn't hard to ask and then to like discover or look for more complicated emotions in a character like that, and to beg the question is like, oh, how human was he truly?
There seems to be tension that's slowly building where we'll finally see that complete betrayal. Many people believe that it's kind of started with there was Jesus was healing everyone, but he did not heal that woman. And I was wondering, is do you know when that tension started out and when kind of he started to not want to, I don't want to say betray him, but in a sense he started to go against him. Maybe mentally we don't see that, but mentally that break.
uh I I've been trying to stay very observant, but
Mhm.
I think there are doubts throughout. There are things that slightly he doesn't understand that build to greater moments of frustration and possibly anger that he doesn't outright blame Jesus for, but he does feel maybe less security in him with. Uh I I'm sad to say I don't think I have all the moments specifically, but I think in every scene there's a little bit a littering of grander expectations that Judas has that Jesus doesn't ultimately deliver on, which leads him down that inevitable path of betrayal.
What would you say at this moment, I know in season 4, would be kind of the standout for him?
Well, I think, let's see. I think the biggest moment that would be very frustrating would be in episode 5, I believe. It's the oh man, I don't know if I should spoil this. But oh, it's out. I guess technically it's in theaters and it'll be in streaming soon. But the walk with the Romans, I think, is something that really hit Judas deeply, mostly because I don't think he has a very good relationship with the Roman occupation on the Jewish people. He has a very uh, distinct belief on what what should be done to deal with this hostile uh, hostage situation of their people, their land, and their culture. And so acting in a very humble manner towards their occupants and their bullies is not something I think he was very comfortable with, and it left him very confused and frustrated, and he had no answer for it. So I think that might be the biggest catalyst this season.
We get to see his home life, um, which is something that we don't never heard about before. What would you say that you was really excited to see about that?
Oh man, I was really excited to see the bed. It was nice to
Mhm.
see that he like had a place to sleep, and it was nice. I was expecting like a full like on the floor cot and just a bunch of pillows thrown about, strewn. Maybe he just sleeps on like a pile of laundry, but no, he had a full bed with a mattress and everything. And I was like, oh, and he lives alone by himself. That was nice. That was good. But I'm also glad that they wrote in an older sister, a family that he can connect to, just something for him to hang on to, or something that he does leave behind. So it's not, he isn't just living like I've got nothing to lose. Like he does have something to lose.
What would you that relationship between him and his sister? Can you kind of tease a little bit of the development in season 4 or little glimpses of it that he at least still holds on to?
Well, sadly, I don't think there is much development in season 4, but hopefully it'll continue to grow, because I really enjoyed the relationship that was set up
Mhm.
and where it could go. I love the the very concerned, protective relationship that me and Marlena Smith, who plays my sister Devora, were able to obtain on our first few days of filming that scene. Like that was a lot of fun. So honestly, I'm just excited to see where that relationship can grow and stem, and what more we can find out about it.
What would you like to see from that?
Oh, what I would like to see? Oh
Yeah.
man, I oh man. Um, I would genuinely just like to see more of that relationship grow, maybe more of their relationship with the loss of their parents grow, because
Mhm.
they're both orphans. And when from minor experiences that I've had in my life, the loss of a parent is very, very harsh, and it can either be a something that can divide relationships, or it could be something that grows them closer. So I would have loved to see how they both actually feel about each other, like how they like grew up, or moments that got them to this point where she has a family, he lives alone, what they had to do to survive, because it can be harsh, and it can be a moment of fear and tribulation without the person who was supposed to take care of you for the majority of your life just suddenly gone. But there's just so much, man. I feel like we could have like an entire episode to ourselves if given the chance, but we also have another story to tell, so that might not
Right.
be the best time.
The Judas spinoff
Oh
series.
man, so many people would watch.
I am loving the locations. Can you tell me about filming in the locations and as an actor, getting into that role and actually being there is, I'm gonna assume, is not built on a set in a sound stage, but actually being there on the land.
Oh, it's great. Anytime there's a moment of me is like, I feel out of character, a pebble will just slide into my sandal, and I'll step on that, and the shocking pain will just writhe through me, and I'll be like, nope, never mind, I'm here. Ooh, the character found me. I feel it. It's encompassing me. Take that, Jared Leto. Who's the method actor now? I feel it. I it's really great. I'm pretty sure we shoot in Midlothian, Texas, and
Mhm.
Provo, Utah, in the lovely deserts of Goshen, and uh it's very cool. It's very hot, and it's very flat desert plains. So we don't really have time to rethink like, oh, what are my lines? What are the blocking? We have to really lock in and get through the points because the natures are there around us. And we've had moments on sound stages, but the set that they built in their headquarters in Texas are really something. They're really cool. And the amount that we use for multiple locations is really smart. They turn what already seems like a huge set into like an all-encompassing city. Like it truly spreads, and it's very impressive. But but yes, also the Jerusalem set that they have in Goshen is fantastic. And we're very kind and happy that they've welcomed us time and time again to shoot there.
Now, in terms of Judas's personality and you being with this character, what would you say in season four would be his best and his worst qualities?
His ooh, sorry, what?
Judas's best and worst qualities.
Oh, his best qualities. I think his best quality is he's naive. So he's
Mhm.
got like a bit of a naivete to him. It's very much like childish middle school wonder where you want the best, so you think you just have to like spearhead and like run through the door to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So that might honestly it seems for me that's his best quality. Though I think his worst quality is he's a bit tempestuous. He's very loud and abrasive. He's uh, very repetitive about his wants and his needs. And uh, yeah, he can't seem to find a moment to just stay quiet and listen. He's always trying to get the next word and trying to move the pack forward. And he always has something to say. He's always got something to say.
Do you feel that he operates a little bit out of envy because he has so much to say and so many opinions, but he's not the one that's really being listened to?
I don't know. It could be envy, though. Uh, from my personal experience with this character and what's been written, it feels more just desperation. It
Mhm.
feels more a desperate need for something to change, something to happen, someone to be saved. And I think he really wants to be saved. And so he's asking desperately. I think he feels only as envious as the rest of the disciples do in any moment. But uh I think as a and like a child sense, he's just scared. And so he's very desperate for something to happen so he doesn't have to be as scared about his life anymore.
What more does he want from his relationship with Jesus? Is it more of that protector so he won't be scared?
Maybe. I think so. Nothing's been set yet,
Mhm.
but from my personal opinion, from what I've been reading, from what I've been looking for in the performance, it feels like he wants Jesus to be this protector. He wants him to save the Jewish people in a very literal sense because he literally feels lost and scared and just abandoned by everything else. I mean, he Judas lost his father, and I think he sees Jesus as a surrogate father figure, and he wants Jesus to step up to that father figure status, but that's not specifically what he's here for. He's not
Do,
there to just comfort Judas's physical, earthly father figure needs. He's got bigger plans, and I don't think Judas was ready to hear that.
do you feel that either this season, next season, that he will allow himself to be honest with that, or will he carry that kind of anger, little tension with him?
Oh, I have no idea. I guess that'll be up to the writers. Because at any point I could have a plan and I'll be like, oh yeah, that could go that way, and they'll hand me a script and it's like, never mind. I gotta uh do something else. But it's all like in a linear path, and then whenever I'm given a new script, I'm like, oh no, that makes sense now. I'll hone on and on this branch of where the character's going, and it's all structured and well thought out. So I'm never disappointed.
I'm fascinated also by the dialect. Everyone obviously has accents. So can you
Yes.
talk on working on that accent?
Well, I think it's very interesting because most of the cast comes from a Middle Eastern or uh, Middle Eastern, North African, Mediterranean background to an extent. And so funny enough, we all kind of bring our respective ancestries and our our home accents into our regular accents. I know I'm Egyptian, so Egyptian Arabic is something I was very much around, and I emphasize that in my accent. Meanwhile, George has a bit more of a Greek tinge to his accent, along with his British enunciations for the stylings of his accent. So sometimes he'll say a like I'll say our, but he'll say no. Is it our? Oh, there was one word that that the dialect coach told us to be very clear of, and which way we were going to say it, which was the British pronunciation or the American pronunciation. I know he's Australian, but it's more the
Mhm.
it's the difference of dialects. But I like that we all can bring a little bit of ourselves or our history into these stylings, and it's nice because no one really has noticed yet. So we just
Okay.
meet up with the dialect coach, and she's like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I'm like, "Here it is. Is this good?" And she's like, "Perfect. Get in there."
Is it, you did say that you are Egyptian, so is it anyone in particular that you modeled it after?
My uncle Arsani. I I was like, I mean, it's all of us. I would just go back to my Giddo and Teta's house in Torrance, and I would just be like, remember those conversations. Remember when we would just talk and they would switch from Arabic to English real quick, but they'd emphasize it with a hand wave, and it would be like this, and you would move forward, and خلاص خلاص ربنا معك يا حبيبي, move on. And it's it was not hard to just click back into those family meetings and those talks and just borrow from that. It wasn't from anyone specifically, but just to give him a little praise, I'll say my uncle Arsani.
Wonderful. And then lastly, I was wondering, being part of the 12 apostles, what do the 11 apostles give you, and what do they give you and you give them, you feel, by being in this group?
Brotherhood and joy.
Mhm.
Honestly, it's it can be a little hard sometimes because most of our scenes just uh are like established of us just sitting and standing next to each other. But I think being around such a lovely group of camaraderie and friendship, it it immediately just creates this connection that makes you feel established and connected to everybody, and uh, well supported, especially in an acting sense. Because anytime you're wondering, like, oh, if I give this line, will somebody be here to like hit it right back to me? Just get that 20 love stylings just over the net, and boom, there will always be either Abe or Allah or anybody will be so quick to catch the serve and pass it on, and before you know it, we're playing the game and we're passing along lines, and everyone's in it and so professional and so amazingly talented. So it's it's just really nice to be in a group of such fantastic performers who always have your back and can lift you right back if you're having like an off day or something.
Wonderful. Is there anything that you can tease in the upcoming episodes, something that you may know?
Mm. So I think, man, what can I say? What can I say other than, have you read the book? I'm not gonna lie, I think you'll find much better spoilers in there than what I have.
Okay.
There might be a dinner. I don't know. Hopefully it's not the last dinner, but we'll see.
Okay. I like that. It's a very good answer. Thank you so much for speaking to me. And I
Of
love
course.
what you did with the show and the character, of course, giving him that humanity. So
Thank you.
thank
If I
you.
didn't, I'd probably be a bad actor.
Very true. So thank you so much for speaking with me.
Of course. Thank you for having me.